Morning, folks. I'm going to try to keep this kind of short. My wife laughed at me. Anyway, I watched that nonsense last night on CNN. Well, I didn't watch. I watched a lot of the highlights. The one thing that struck me for absolute sure was that was not a live broadcast. It was heavily edited. They led, that Dana Bush or whoever that chick was. She asked very soft questions and got gibberish back, from all I can tell. But anyway, that's not the subject of this because it's like if you're brainwashed, you're brainwashed. If you have Trump derangement syndrome, you've got it. Okay. And there's just something in your head. It's not your fault. You've been conditioned this way by a liberal society. I mean, it's like, okay, the first thing here is there's absolutely no such thing as a blue state. There's not. I was born and raised in South Side of Chicago, Illinois. Chicago is a Illinois rather, is a heavily Republican state. It's just like Louisiana. Once you get away from New Orleans and Baton Rouge, it's heavily conservative. Just like California. Once you get away from the LA basin and San Diego and San Francisco, it's a heavily conservative state. So there are no such things as blue states. What you have are blue cities. You have 15 to 20 blue cities where people are just absolutely nuts. Oh, hey, baby, glad you could join us. They're ungodly.
Yes.
All right, and that's what you're dealing with. Now, after listening to some of this nonsense last night, and after watching them select poll workers and such, and it's the hypocrisy coming from the left that I find just disgusting. It's nasty. All right. There are states now that are passing legislation that says RFK has to stay on the ballot because you can't drop out after primaries. All right, and that's what they're saying. Yet these same states have taken Joe Biden off the ballot and put Kamala Harris on there. It's just ridiculous. Okay. And I mean, here's the whole thing. There will be violence after this election, in my humble opinion, and I'm going to tell you why. In my opinion, here's what happens. When the media and the Democrats say there is no evidence, that means there's a lot of evidence and they're just not going to research it. When they say our sources, that means they made it up. And the problem with today's societies is there's two things that need to be fixed. Our school system is broken. They're not teaching our children anything, all right? They are not the pride that used to be. We used to look up to teachers. Not anymore. They're nasty libtards. I'm sorry, okay? And the next thing is the mainstream media. They are the propaganda wing of the Democratic Party. And look, we've seen this forever and ever and ever. The media was the propaganda wing of the Nazi Party. And yes, I'm comparing the Democrats to the Nazi Party.
Why not? They compared Trump to Hitler.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, right? But here's the whole thing. This nonsense about gun control, it's ridiculous, okay? Let me explain why they want to. There was Salman, whatever. Anyway, this guy, he wrote like a communist manifesto. Hillary Clinton supposedly wrote her college thesis on this guy's writings. And take their guns. Taking their guns is not for public safety. It's so they cannot defend themselves against a government. Now, why would that be? Use your heads. Like I said, there's no such thing as a blue state. All right? There's just blue cities.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Now, if you convince these idiots in the city, and I'm saying they're idiots, I've lived in a lot of big cities, and people are just, they're not right in the head. It's an ungodly place to live, and they think they're moral and good people. And I understand they truly believe they're moral and good people. They're not. All right? If they take the guns, it's not me. All right? It's you. It's you Democrats, you people that voted for it, you people in the cities. You're cattle.
Yes.
All right? Now, what's going to happen here, because there was no investigations at all, except a kangaroo court on the election last time. We know now that, yeah, there was widespread cheating. They just refused to investigate it.
Yeah.
All right? Just because the mainstream media and the Democrats call something, oh, it was an insurrection. No, it wasn't. It was a riot. Look the definitions up, okay? It just was not an insurrection. But you firmly believe it was because you were told it was, okay? I mean, it is like your brains are just, they're mush. They're ungodly, all right? If you can turn someone's head away from Christ, let me tell you what's going to happen in this world. You need to make a choice. It's either going to be Christ or Islam, and it's not going to be a good Islam. All right? This whole Russian collusion thing is out of the question. I haven't seen Russia send spy balloons over the United States, right? I haven't seen Russia bribe a president of the United States. We have absolute evidence that, yeah.
There's a rash of good old atheists out there
Oh, man.
running around going like, wait. I don't believe in Christianity. I don't believe in God, and I don't believe in Jesus, but I don't want to live in a world that is not Christian.
Right.
Because with Christianity comes advances in both society and
humanity
science.
comes
Humanity,
with Christianity.
yes,
Yeah.
that's right. I love it. They're like, no, wait a minute. I don't want to live in a Muslim world. Okay,
Yeah, too late.
Too late. You're letting it in. At least if you live in England, definitely they have a different set of rules for everybody. And what was the first thing they did? They disarmed their population.
Yes.
Australia,
France, Germany.
You should really look at what's going on over there.
But the mainstream media will not tell you this, because the mainstream media and the Democrats are part of that new world order. All right? So you need, now is the time you need to wake up.
Yeah. You got to be, you don't get to sit this one out, I would say, okay?
This is going to touch every family in America.
You don't get to sit this one out. And it's like I told my husband, we're in that cusp that the Jews were in just before the Babylonian exile. The solution God was giving them was not very palatable to them. And so some of them refused to go to the Babylonian exile, and they fought against Nebuchadnezzar. Yeah. Nebuchadnezzar proceeded to destroy Jerusalem and the temple. Okay? So, is Donald Trump a very palatable solution? No, especially because he backed down.
The lesser of two evils.
Yeah, especially he backed down in full
on pro-life
altogether, and now he's like
wanting to cut deals.
Yeah,
you can't cut deals with murdering children.
Having said
that,
he at least recognizes the fact that each state has a right to figure out things on their own. And that's okay. And at least we'll take that. It's not palatable. But your next choice is for sure baby killer that wants to make sure everybody can do it. So,
here's a plain fact of life. If you voted for Joe Biden, you're responsible for these foreign wars, and you're responsible for this piece of crap economy. I just don't understand the delusion that's going through your heads. Things are always better when a conservative or a Republican is in charge. You have world peace and you have a stronger economy. It's like, look, Chicago is your prime example. LA is your prime example. Excuse my French, but these places are shit buckets. And you keep voting for it to be worse. people sit there and say, oh, this and that, and you believe it, and it's not true. But you're convinced it's true. All right? And it's like, I just don't understand it. You can't open your eyes. When Trump was president, we had world peace and peace in the Middle East. All right? We had a thriving economy and we could afford groceries. On day one, Joe Biden destroyed the economy by stopping the production of oil. He fostered terrorism by buying oil from Iran, which allowed a state-sponsored terrorist program to finance terrorists around the world. That's the truth of the matter, and anyone can look it up.
Yeah, this is no secret.
Now, if you vote for Kamala Harris, what do you think is going to happen? I don't believe our country can survive 4 more years of this nonsense.
And you're going to have people angry on either side.
Yep. And neither side will accept the results of this election. But here's the whole thing. We had a coup d'etat. Not one person voted for her to be the candidate. They pushed your candidate that you voted. No one liked her. No one voted for her. I mean, in fact, Tulsi Gabbard got more votes than Kamala Harris did in those primaries, right? And I'm like, looky here. You're just all willing to accept a candidate that no one voted for.
Yeah.
I can't believe that.
That's it.
Right? I mean, it was like somebody told me, oh, there's a lot of bullshit and BS in Washington and all of that. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's true. But at least the Republican side didn't create a coup d'etat.
Yeah.
All right?
Interesting. I mean, they do it in the front, in public, on the news, so that you don't know and don't complain about it.
It's a joke.
Because, like, we did it in front of you.
Yeah. And you people think you're
anything.
educated?
Yeah, you didn't say anything about it.
You didn't do it? Yeah, it's right in front of you. She's not even a legal candidate as far as I can tell. But,
I've heard some people argue for blah, 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 and he was just like, no. You can manipulate the facts all you want. You still, in the end, ended up with a woman that no one elected, that nobody voted for. Honestly, a woman that when she ran for president the first time, it was a joke. She got kicked out immediately.
Yeah, I mean, she was the first one to drop out because she was so unpopular.
Wasn't it like they did those debates where there was like 10 of them?
Yeah.
And then they were eliminating one and the other, and she was not.
She was the first one to drop out because no one voted for her. And now all of a sudden you people are happy for her? And it's like it's a bunch of damn retards out there. Oh, I want a strong woman president. Well, where are you going to find one? Because she ain't. But let me tell you the fact of life, okay? This war in the Middle East will go on as long as you elect Democrats. Now you need to put your thinking caps on, because the rich Jews finance the Democratic Party, them and the Chinese, all right? The Democratic Party is in bed with China. That's where they get all this money, all right? And so no matter what you think, the Democrats are moving us towards communism, some sort of brand of communism. They want, and by the time you people figure it out, you're going to be in concentration camps, because the New World Order absolutely believes there are 4 billion worthless mouths on this planet to feed.
Yeah.
All right? If you haven't figured that out by now, I know this all sounds radical, but it's there. You can look it up. It's crazy.
They had their global. Oh my gosh!
What do you call that?
Remember.
World
economy. I can't remember.
Whatever it is. Yeah, all these.
They have their meetings in Davos, guys.
Yeah.
They have their meetings.
And they talk about it.
And they talk about how to rule the little people.
Right.
You're the little people.
You're the little people.
You're the little people. They're talking about how to rule us. And we're just sitting there going like, okay, help us. No.
I'm an old man. I've made my peace with God. And I understand that this is a young person's world, okay? And it's really funny because it's like I said, there's 2 things that have happened, really. Well, the first thing was that we went away from God, okay? And we went away from God for a very simple reason. because they have fed feminism a lie about abortion. Okay, it was a lie, and I understand you're so deeply rooted in the belief. And the problem is once you've moved away from God, what you're stuck with is I feel, therefore it's true. And they have used the schools and the media to control your feelings, okay? I was discussing online with this lady, and she's a hardcore pink-haired liberal, right? And when you give them facts about abortion, they don't accept them. And I'm like, okay, I understand it now. If you don't agree with it, it's not true in your mind. And that's the problem when they talk about your feelings, okay? There is a right, there is a wrong. There is a truth, and there's something that's not a truth. But you can't accept the truth because once you get away from God in a certain aspect, you think you're a God, and there's nothing stronger or better or more powerful than you. So your feelings become godlike to you. You can't admit, even when, yeah, it's like there's nothing that I agree with more than a woman's right to choose. But it's not, your choice is not murdering a baby, that's murder. Your choice was before that, when you decided to do this. And you were fed a lie that all men go out there and jump in bed with all these women, and that's not true. What has happened is we've created a generation of loose women, and everybody is making excuses for them. You should have made this fella put on a condom. You should have been on birth control. You could have abstained from having sex.
Wow.
These were your choices. Murdering a child is just that, murder. And it is a child at the time of conception. Yeah. I make no explanation, but then they feed you lies, right? Like, oh, for rape and incest. That's like 0.01% of the abortions, okay? That's a fact. It's just such a minute, all right, thing. But they tell you this, and it sounds good, and you want to believe this. And the answer is no, all right? Why should a child have to die? All right? Punish the man that did this, absolutely. But why should a child have to die? Yeah. That makes no sense. All right? And then these same women and men that believe in this, and the men are even more pathetic that believe in this, they're weak. All right? But these same women, you can't kick a dog. Why? It's just kicking a dog. You're not killing it. And you're ready to murder a child. I mean, your mind is so messed up.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. But look, I'm telling you right now, this whole Second Amendment thing, you need to understand it for what it is. It won't take any guns out of a criminal's hand.
No.
It won't.
No.
All it's going to do is take guns out of good people's hands, all right? Every time you purchase a firearm in any state, you have to do a 4473. That's a background check. Now, if you even smacked your wife one time and she reported that, you can't buy a firearm, all right?
You got felony.
Yeah, and look, if you don't remember Fast and Furious, you don't think our government won't sell firearms to criminals. You're an idiot. I'm telling you, it happened.
Yeah, I mean, they just, I guess that it all comes down to remembering that the civil servants that you put in place are supposed to be beholden to God first, then you.
Yes.
Okay? They're supposed to do the rule of God.
So help me God, it's in the oath.
Right.
Right?
So help me God. This is how they do it. Now, this is what's supposed to happen. This is not what they do. They're beholden to their own pockets. And you get to a point that you sear your soul in such a way that you still think you're doing the right thing, even though every single thing that God ever taught says you're doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
So,
and look, I mean, I go to church and I sit there in church and I look around and the church is filled with weak men and weak preachers. I tell you, it just turns my stomach when a preacher says, oh, I'll never discuss politics from the pulpit. That's because you're a weak man and you don't want confusion. No, you're a shepherd. You're supposed to lead your flock. You should talk about these things. I'm not being radical. I don't want violence of any kind. What I'm telling you, period, is you need to come back to God, or Islam, and not the good Islam, is going to take this country.
Yeah.
Yeah?
That's true.
But yeah, it's crazy. And when you sit there and listen to this last night, I've seen the clips. It's designed for weak people to listen to it and twist it around in my own mind. Oh yeah, I like her. Why? No one voted for her.
Yeah, that's a fact.
I'm like, that's just ridiculous.
That's a fact.
Yeah, and now who's running the country? I just want to know. Because in the last 38 days, Joe Biden has only spent 6 days in Washington. The rest of the time, he's been sitting on the beach in Delaware. And like, God, dang it.
He's relaxing. There's nothing
Yeah.
going on in this country.
Someone has committed treason right in front of your eyes, and you don't care because you're on Team Blue.
Listen, you gotta stop watching TV, mainstream television.
I can tell you what's going to happen, okay? And I mean, this is not rocket science, all right? If you look at a map and look at the voter map, okay? Here's what's going to happen. If you elect Kamala Harris and she messes with the Supreme Court, which is on her platform, she plans on doing it, holding judges up for review. That means if I don't agree with you, I'm going to kick you out, all right? If she messes with the Supreme Court, you're going to have state after state after state. At first, it's going to be 28 states that will secede from the Union. There's just, in my mind, I'm looking at it, I look at the map, I see the politics, and that's what's going to happen. And I'm sitting here and I'm preaching to people who don't believe it, even though they've seen it with their own eyes. They're not going to believe it. And then when it happens, they're going to blame the other side. No, it's your side.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
But anyway, I'm just saying, I live down here in Texas.
We'll be fine.
I'm going to be fine. I got a small hunk of land, all right? And y'all stay off my land, and we don't have any problems.
Yep.
And I'm an old man. I've lived a really good life. I've raised 3 fine sons and an absolutely wonderful daughter. And if I need to check out of this world, I will. I don't care. I'm going to God. I know this.
Yeah, there's this song I like. It's called Green Green Days, Blue Blue Skies.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. You've heard it in all your
cat in the background.
Yeah, you've heard it in all your YouTube shorts. It's Green Green Days.
Yeah, it's catchy.
It's catchy. I never paid attention to the lyrics. The lyrics. And it's by George Ezra. I really like that guy. He sings beautifully. Anyways, point to the thing is, it says in the lyrics of the song, because it goes so fast, I never paid attention before, and I was listening to it the other day, and it says, Green, green days, blue, blue skies. You better throw a party the day that I die. Right. That's right. We are going to be in the praises of God and Jesus. We ain't worried. Throw a party. But you guys are going to stay here, you young people. You younger adults. So figure out the world you got now.
Here's something else they're going to do. You hear the Democratic Party now. They keep throwing that word democracy out there. Okay? We are not a true democracy. All right? We're a republic. Now, what happens is you elect a politician, they go to Washington and they get corrupted by the money, Chinese money usually, and both sides, not just one side. Now, the reason they're throwing that word democracy out there, because there's a larger population in the cities than there is in the country. Okay, so what they want to do is get rid of the electoral college. Without the electoral college, you're going to have states secede from the Union. Okay, period. All right, then they're complaining about the Supreme Court. Why? Because it goes back to the same thing. If I don't agree with it, it can't be legal.
That's right.
So they're going to mess with the Supreme Court. If they do that, guess what? Secession. All right? I mean, these are not small things, because the vast majority of the country does not think the way cities think. All right. And look, I'm not the greatest tactician in the world, but I have studied history. All right. And taking a city is the easiest thing in the world. All you have to do is cut off the supply line. Anybody that knows anything about trucking, and I drove a truck for years, I understand that every city is only 3 days away from anarchy. If you shut the food off in 3 days, you have anarchy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, people, those things, the Bill of Rights is the most important document in this country, whether you agree with it or not. And if you mess with the Bill of Rights, you're destroying what you call a democracy. It's a republic, but yeah, you think it's a democracy, but you're destroying that. And let me tell you, when they had the revolution in China and in Russia, you have to understand the people that were doing the revolution for communism, they thought they were right. And they were on the right side, they thought. And then what they wanted actually happened, and all of a sudden, they became cannon fodder. They starved, all right? They lost all powers, no votes, no nothing.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen here. And I'm sick and tired of people saying that can't happen here. Well, we had a coup. All right.
Anyways, guys.
Yeah. God bless.
I thought you said you was gonna keep.
I
short.
know. I was watching that nut job last night. Anyway, this will be controversial. It'll get me a strike on YouTube for sure because they're part of the commie problem. All right. God bless, people.
God bless. Bye bye.